Okay, there we go. Hello.
Hello.
It's been 2 months since we did an episode.
I haven't even spoke during them 2 months either.
No, we only really speak on these episodes. What a 2 months. I apologise for the delay. Life has been pretty busy, which is unfortunate because, there's times you've got to do different priorities in life, and the podcast just had to take a back seat. So we've just been really busy, haven't we, with just general life stuff. I've been doing a lot of stand up comedy.
I've been doing a lot of sleeping,
You've been doing a lot of sleeping. Yeah,
vomiting.
a lot of vomiting. Yeah. What else you been up to?
Have been training to become a bereavement volunteer.
Mm, that's been pretty intense, actually.
Yeah, did my last day today. Passed, I think.
I didn't know you could pass or not. Like, well, good on you. You've absolutely smashed it. Like, so Becca had this thing where, like, she'd come away, like, every week, like, oh, people are so much more qualified than me. Like, so Becca works in funeral care, and everyone else on this course was, like, a qualified counselor slash therapist already. So I was like, you are in a fantastic place where if you're the one who gains the most by being there, then that is the best place to be. Like, imagine being the most qualified person on that call and being like, oh, I already know all this bullshit. Like, there's no point in you being there.
Yeah.
But for you, you've taken away things that will help you comfort people in the worst times of their life.
Yep.
And that's been fucking awesome. Yeah, work's been crazy for me as well. It's just been madness. So yeah, I've had quite a lot of messages about people asking about the podcast and stuff like that. Like, there's been very few people have been like, "Where's the fucking episode?" Which has been nice, which is it's just quite respectful. But I think yeah, it just kind of shows the audience we have is just quite generally
Chill.
quite chill people. Yeah. Aye. So today we're gonna cover off the rest of Aragorn's life, and then there's one more episode that we'll have out by the end of the year, which is about the heirlooms and the gear that he has. Every time I say gear, because I'm from
You think of
Teesside,
coke.
I think of like heroin
Yeah.
because you say someone's on the gear, like Aragorn's on the gear. Well, then again, he ran 145 miles in 3 days. Like he's on some kind of gear.
He's like,
I've seen smackheads do that on a kid's pink bike.
he's like Fagin with his coat. He opens his jacket up and he's got all his gear hanging down his coat. Coke, heroin,
Who's that? Who's Fagin?
MDMA. Fagin from Oliver.
Oh right, okay, I don't
You
know it.
got to pick a pocket door too.
Oh,
Oh
okay.
my lord, you
Has he got
uncultured
has
swine.
he got all the drugs in that?
No, but like he's a pickpocket. So
Oh,
he's
okay,
like got
alright.
that one of those quotes that you have all the stuff in
Oh,
that
right.
you've twocked or
Well,
things you can sell to people.
yeah, it's just normally I'm from a place where if a man opens his coat in front of you, it's to show you his cock. So, that's I don't tend to look for his wares.
I mean, I didn't say it was a Parker.
Yeah, when did a parka become the Flash's coat? Oh, goodness me. So, yeah, we're gonna finish off Aragorn's life today, then we're gonna finish the series itself with, like, the things like Anduril and the Scepter of Illuminas, the Elf Stone, which we covered in one of the earlier episodes. But after that, the future of the podcast is up in the air. I commit to finishing Aragorn, but things are very, very busy. So it will either be an extended break or I might make this. I think we may make the decision to bring the podcast to a close, which is it's been a lovely 3 years. It's been 3 years. It'll almost be like a full 3 year journey
Mm.
because we've been doing it for 3 years and bringing it to close in the new year would be, I think, yeah, 3 or 4 years since we started. So yeah, it's just life is crazy, and as I've always said, I don't monetize this podcast, and I never plan to. And we've met a lot of really good friends doing this, but there are other things in life that need our attention, and will continue to do so. So something's got to give, unfortunately, and it'll probably be the podcast. And I think that if we can bring it to a close with our love of Tolkien intact, and you having had 3 years of knowledge forced into your brain,
Mm.
then I think we'll call it a win. So yeah, that's just but there'll be general updates or like closer to the time as we go on that. And if I do decide to bring the podcast to a close, then I'll put out just a final little episode to say, goodbye and thanks for all the fish and what have you.
We'll have a party.
It'll just be time to move on because again, like as much as I do this for the love, like there's things in my life that take up a lot of time and effort. Like stand up comedy has ran me ragged recently, hasn't it? Like I'm here, there, and everywhere. I've got books that I'm still writing.
I mean, these are all self-inflicted things.
Yeah, they are. Yeah, and something's got to give. Like it does. Like I mean, I've had 2 paid comedy shows that I've been doing, so, like and then there's the open mics and the competitions and stuff like that. In fact, I'm pretty sure stand-up comedy at some point will probably give as well, and I could just go back to being a nerd and writing books and then, enjoying the stories I write. So, but that is by the by, you're not here to talk about my writing or my stand-up comedy. That's not what this podcast is for. This podcast is about Aragorn, the best man to ever live. Or the best man to never live, I suppose. Yeah. So, yeah,
Begin.
shall we begin? So we ended the last time where Aragorn's journeys over the first few decades of his life, where we ended with coming to the end of his journeys with Ecthelion, who was Denethor's dad in Gondor, and he went to do his thing out in the wilderness, and he had all these journeys through his not childhood, but like through his because he's so old, but like his earlier life,
Yeah.
and that was where we'd kind of ended. So we're gonna pick up because we started like long before Aragorn was born, and then we ended the last episode where Aragorn sets back out into the wilderness time and time again, but this time Arwen's watching over him because they're now betrothed and everything, and we're getting just to the end of Aragorn, like the last big push of Aragorn's life. So we're going to pick up 20 years after we ended the last episode in the year 3001 of the Third Age. So Aragorn, he went to the year 3000, and not much had changed, but Numenor was underwater, and Luthien's great 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 granddaughter was pretty fine. She was pretty fine. So in the year 3001 of the Third Age, Sauron was again regaining power in Mordor, as we've covered on our Sauron series. And it's around this time, though, that Gandalf is becoming concerned about the One Ring. He's got a couple of boils and spots, and it hurts when he sits down, so he needs to get it checked out. And Gandalf and the other wise, and the wise I've mentioned in a previous episode, have been lulled into a false sense of security for a long time now, because you remember Saruman tells everyone that the ring's fallen into the River Anduin and it's probably going out to the sea where it's going to be lost forever. So there's no need to look for it.
Hmm.
While he is searching like the Gladden Fields and the River Anduin so that he can try and find it himself. Sneaky bastard. But Gandalf and Sauron, in parallel, both seem to be piecing together that Gollum is the key in the hunt for the One Ring. Gollum. I've been reading The Hobbit to our daughter, and I gave Gollum a Scouse accent, which I don't know if you've heard it when I've been like
No.
reading to her. But I'm like, yeah, what's in your
Oh,
pocket?
yes, I
What's in your
have. I
pockets,
have.
precious? Pockets, Gollum, Gollum, precious. So Gandalf now suspects that the magic ring that Bilbo had found on his adventures was actually the One Ring. So Gandalf asks the Dunedain for help and confides in Aragorn about his suspicions. Now, this is the only bit of Aragorn's story I really don't agree with him, right? Aragorn, as Isildur's heir, thinks it's only right that he help repair Isildur's fault for not destroying the ring and trying to keep it. So Aragorn joins the hunt for Gollum, right? That to me, and this is a this is a sign of the times because this is me looking through the lens of modern day, the cultural moment we're in, and reacting adverse to this because to me, that's the same kind of shit you hear from people who talk about white guilt. You know, like, it's particularly quite an American thing, it seems, where there's this pervasive idea with certain groups that you should feel guilty about the actions of your ancestors for like slavery and that.
Yeah, but that's usually the group who were hard done by,
Well, yeah, and but I mean, it was slave.
thinking,
Yeah.
expecting that the future
Well, no, no,
generations
no,
from
no,
them.
no. It's white guilt. So it's white people feeling guilty about things their ancestors have done, as if they should be responsible for it.
I don't think I've ever known anyone
Not in real
be
life.
like that.
No, no, not in real. That's the thing. Not in real life. It's a very much like a lunatic on the internet type thing. But
Potentially the Holocaust, because obviously there's been a lot of work since then,
I've never.
like with Holocaust survivors and stuff. In the like, we've had a lot of stuff in the UK when you were kids and that. You grew up learning about it so that it wouldn't happen again. But it wasn't like a guilt thing.
No, not a guilt thing. No. Um,
But obviously it
but
didn't work,
it
did
didn't
it?
didn't work. Yeah, because the people who
Because the
were
people
the
who
people who
were hard done
were
by,
hard done by are now doing
the
their own.
bullies became the bullies.
Yeah.
The
So
bullied became the bullies.
cycle of abuse, that one. Anyway,
Well,
but anyway, this Aragorn thing
not all
seems
of
like
them.
some no. It's just
The bad apples.
yeah. So it just seems like some proper white guilt shit to me. Like, and this is where I'm obviously not the stuff kings are made of. Because if it was me, I'd have been like, well, that was fucking a sealed or did it, not me. I'm under no obligation. But this,
Imagine if you had to make up for all your parents'
yeah,
wrongdoings.
exactly.
Fuck.
Yeah,
That would
it's hard enough just trying to
take a
fucking
lifetime.
survive their wrongdoings. But no, like, don't no. So don't get me wrong. This actually, I do have a point here, and this is where it's an older argument that just comes in different forms. It's that Marcus Aurelius, I think it was him, said that if gods exist and they need to be worshipped or I'd be punished for it. So he says that either the gods exist or they don't, and if they do exist and they require worship, then they shouldn't be worshipped. And if they don't exist, I don't have to worry about it. I'm horribly butchering this. But then there's also that
Could be Marcus Aurelius, could be the Grinch.
it's all yeah, exactly. It's also that other school of thought about do you need the fear of God to be like, are you still a good person if you only do good things because you fear divine judgment,
Yeah.
divine wrath, right? So if you do a good thing because you think if you don't, you'll go to hell, are you then still a good person? Or rather than doing a good thing just for the sake of it?
Yeah.
So it's a deeper like conversation. So for me, right, like don't get me wrong, I think Aragorn would have helped with no hesitation, regardless. But giving that as a reason just kind of rubbed me a bit. But then I think, is that just me as like a contrarian? It's like, well, no, well, now I'm not going to fucking do it just because I'm not going to do it because it's sealed or did it. I don't know. I don't know where people's heads are on that because I'd have helped myself with no hesitation. But my primary reason would have been
For the greater
it's the
good.
right thing. The greater good. It's the right thing to do, not because I feel any guilt at what someone from 3,000 fucking years ago did. Can you imagine if someone in Egypt right now was just like, "Oh, I feel so guilty because I'm pretty sure one of my ancestors was a supervisor at the pyramids." You wouldn't think they were noble. You'd just think they were a bit of a freak, wouldn't you? You'd just be like,
You'd definitely think they were nuts.
yeah, you would. It's like, no, I've got to atone for what my ancestors did 3,000 years ago. You're like, right. Anyway, yeah, so you spell it Chris and it's just the Americano. Thank you. But like, just let go of the past, bro. But anyway, moving on. It was a weird little tangent. When I was like researching this episode, I was just like, what the fuck? Also, don't know where else I'm going to fit this in this series. I should have done an episode on alternate versions of Aragorn, but that ship has sailed. At one point, the character of Aragorn was called Trotter, and part of the story was that he had been captured by Sauron and tortured so badly that he always kept his shoes on, and it would be because they'd done something to his feet, but it'd be revealed later in the book that he had wooden feet because like Sauron had like tortured them
Doesn't have the
off.
same ring to it, does
No,
it?
Trotter. But it was when Frodo was called like Bungo and stuff like that. So, it's just early. I just love seeing the development of the story because it'd be like it's still like the same eloquent speech that we know Tolkien for, and it's like I would have gone with you to the end, said Trotter. You know, but it makes me think of Only Fools and Horses.
Yeah.
But I don't think you watched that. Don't think he was a fan.
Sounds quite childish.
Yeah. Anyway, going back to the hunt for Gollum, it was a long and hard search, and it lasted years. And there's a quote from the Council of Elrond that describes it thusly. The Council of Elrond being the chapter in Lord of the Rings that Becca can't seem to get past.
Yeah, I'm still on it, guys.
Then Gandalf told how they had explored the whole length of Wilderland, down even to the Mountains of Shadow and the fences of Mordor. This is how I describe your Fanny. There we had rumour of him, and guessed that he dwelt there long in the dark hills, your tits, but we never found him, and at last I despaired. And Wilderland is the whole of Rhovanion, and Rhovanion, remember, is the land that is east of the Misty Mountains. So this is huge, right? And it encompasses eastern Eriador, the Iron Hills, Lothlorien, Mirkwood, and the Vales of Anduin.
Hmm.
So it's basically like that whole side of Middle Earth,
Okay.
and until you get to Gondor and Mordor, sorry. So some of the major settlements and important places are Caras Galadhon in Lothlorien, Danes Halls in the Iron Hills, or Dain, Dale the town at the foot of the Lonely Mountain, Dol Guldur where Sauron lives, the Elven King's Hall where Thranduil and Legolas live, Framsburg where the Eotheod, the people who become the Rohirrim, this was one of their original settlements, is there, made by Frumgar but named after his son Fram, who killed a dragon. And other notable settlements in Rhovanion are Lakedown, which we know from The Hobbit, and Erebor, which we also know from The Hobbit. So Wilderland is notable for many things in Middle-earth we can cover, but plagues fucked this place right up. Like, Rhovanion suffered during the middle of the Third Age. So in the First Age, some elves who were, they were doing the Great Journey,
Yeah.
they decided it was too nice a place to leave, and they abandoned the journey of Valinor to live in Rhovanion, so it's a nice place. Then in the Second Age in Rhovanion, the best friendship between humans and dwarves originated up here with mutually beneficial protection and aid, sorry. And the great battlefield of Dagorlad in the War of the Last Alliance was fought in the south of Rhovanion. So a lot happens in Middle-earth's history on this side of the Misty Mountains.
When's the plagues?
It's about the 1600s of the Third Age. It originates from
Ah,
Sauron in the east.
Fucking typical.
Yeah.
Historical.
So we got a scope of what's going on here, right? Like the search took them to the borders of Mordor.
Hmm.
The Mordor? So this search took even the
He's a
music.
comedian.
Even the music stopped when I said that. Even
The pin came off the record.
So this search took 17 years.
It was so funny that the dog thought it was a fart and he looked at his butt.
Oh, clever cunt.
That's a good joke.
Yeah, well, get up on stage and tell it then, dickhead. So this search took 17 years for Gollum. And 6 years into it, Aragorn returned to visit his mother for the last time in the year 3007 of the Third Age. And she died in the next spring, and we covered her final words in a previous episode, right?
Yeah.
In 3009, Aragorn and Gandalf continued their search. They didn't know that around this time, Gollum was captured by Sauron, and he was released 8 years later in 3017. So he's fresh out the pen, and this is where Aragorn finally captures him in the Dead Marshes on the 1st of February, 3017. And during this time, Gandalf's in Gondor confirming the identity of the One Ring, etc., in case you wondered where he was. And there's an excerpt from Aragorn of what he was up to, and Gandalf starts this, but then Aragorn takes over. So Gandalf says, "At once I took my leave of Denethor, but even as I went northwards, Messages came to me out of Lothlorien that Aragorn had passed that way, and that he had found the creature called Gollum. Therefore I went first to meet him and hear his tale. Into what deadly perils he had gone alone I dared not guess. There is little need to tell of them, said Aragorn. If a man must needs walk in sight of the Black Gate, or tread the deadly flowers of the Morgul Vale, then perils he will have. I, too, despaired at last, and I began my homeward journey. And then, by fortune, I came suddenly on what I sought, a mark of soft feet beside a muddy pool. Just imagine a footprint being filled up with cum. But now the trail was fresh and swift, and it led not to Mordor, but away. Along the skirts of the dead marshes I followed it, and then I had him. Lurking by a stagnant mere, peering in the water as dark eve fell, I caught him, Gollum. He was covered with a green slime. He will never love me, I fear, for he bit me, and I was not gentle. Nothing more did I ever get from his mouth than the marks of his teeth. I deemed it the worst part of all my journey. The road back, watching him day and night, making him walk before me with a halter on his neck, gagged, until he was tamed by lack of drink and food, driving him ever towards Mirkwood. I brought him there at last and gave him to the elves, for we agreed that this should be done, and I was glad to be rid of his company, for he stank. For my part, I hope never to look upon him again. But Gandalf came and endured long speech with him. And this really drove home to me what a horrible bastard Gollum is. Like, he is like the personification of depression and loathing.
Self-neglect.
Like, he drags down everyone around him, and it makes it all the worse because the pity makes you angry at him. Like, I get angry at how much I pity him, and I just want to kick fuck out of him. And I did wonder if I was like angry or depressed when I wrote this bit. But then I found one of the memes that always makes me laugh, which is a Tumblr post by a guy called Gay Arsonist. And it says, funny, this is a man in his 30s reading out a meme. So, funniest thing in The Lord of the Rings is how no one can kill Gollum, because whenever they get close, they're like, oh my god, he's so pathetic and ugly, I can't bear to fucking look at him, Jesus Christ. So they just imprison him, and then he slips through the fucking bars like a Looney Tunes character, and this happens multiple times.
Is that slime?
It's
It's a lubricant.
it's the green slime. He's like the T-1000 in Terminator 2. He's just... Oh, so Aragorn was out and about after this, until he met Gandalf at Sarnford, which means Stony Ford, on the 1st of May. He learned that, this is the 3018 now, so he learns that Frodo was planning to leave the Shire in late September, and when Aragorn returns to Eriador, the elf Gildor tells Aragorn that the Black Riders have been seen, Gandalf is missing, and there's no messages for him. What a trifecta of horrible things. Nobody wants to talk to you, nobody wants to meet you, and the people who do want to meet you will probably want to kill you. So this is sometime after the 1st of July, when Gandalf leaves Bree for Isengard and gets imprisoned. So in response to this, Aragorn and his rangers keep watch of the borders of the Shire in the East Road waiting for Frodo. However, because the hobbits have gone incognito, and you'll remember this from them leaving the Shire, they go off-road a bit,
Yeah.
they see nothing. But luckily, Aragorn catches up with the hobbits in Bree on the 29th of September, and they set out the next day together. This time, they're off-road, and cross-country is rough going, but Aragorn knows the area well, and he's leading them towards Rivendell. So about 7 days later, on the 6th of October, they're attacked on Weathertop when they're attacked by 5 of the Nazgul, and Frodo's wounded, right? Shit gets serious, and they continue towards Rivendell. Aragorn finds a token left by Glorfindel that you pointed out
Yeah, my
was
green
green.
shiny one.
Yeah, on the 13th of October. And then by the 25th of October, everyone is safe in Rivendell. Here, Aragorn declares at the Council of Elrond that he'll go to Minas Tirith and get his cock out, as the time has come to reveal himself.
Nice.
So the Fellowship then sets out from Rivendell on the 25th of December. So they've got...
Merry
Hey, wow.
Chrysler.
Yeah, Merry Chrysler. That's interesting. So the gap between the 25th of October of them at the Council of Rivendell and the 25th of December when they set out is almost the exact same gap I've took between the last 2 episodes. So I was in Rivendell.
Mm.
So the last episode was the 16th of October. and it is now what, the 11th of December? So I've just been in Rivendell for 2 months.
Yeah, I've been recovering, sleeping and things.
You are always asleep, yeah.
Yeah.
So Aragorn plans to go with them for a while. So Aragorn's original plan with the Fellowship is that, spoilers for you, is that he plans to go with them for a while and then go to Gondor with Boromir when he would again reveal himself at Minas Tirith. He'd stand outside the gates, just helicopter in.
Helicoptering.
So he encourages the Fellowship. So they set out, they go on their journey, and he encourages the Fellowship to take the Red Horn Pass through the mountain Caradhras, the Cruel, on the 11th and 12th of January. And remember, this is the Bastard Mountain. It's the tallest and most northern of the three mountains of Moria that Khazad-dûm is built under. And the other two mountains are called Fanwydol, which means cloudy head, and Celebdil, which means silver tine. And I found out a tine is a sharp point or prong, as you would see on a fork or an antler. So that is
Mm.
called a tine.
As in Tine.
Yeah.
Mm.
So anyway, this Red Horn passage was a fucking disaster and they nearly die, forcing them through the mines of Moria on the 13th of January. And this is frustrating. Aragorn makes a reference to having been in Moria before, but there is no other information about that. It's never really even alluded to past this. So the best guess is it's either part of his hunt for Gollum or one of the journeys he took when he was like out and about being a hero, like doing these labors of Heracles type shit.
Mm.
So it's lost history. But I'm sure at some point it will be a movie or a TV series. I'm sure it will involve a gay black woman. I'm sure. And after Gandalf falls with the Balrog on the 15th of January, Aragorn, it'll be that Cynthia Eriviro.
Yeah.
She'll be like, he'll encounter another Balrog who's like shit scared, and he'll be like, shh, don't wake her, don't wake her up. The Balrog would be like, just get out, just get out. You can't wake her up. Fucking vulture looking freak. So after Gandalf falls on the 15th of January, I wonder if anyone just turned off there was like, I will stand for a lot of things with this podcast, but I will not stand for Cynthia slander.
Oh my lord.
It's like the deepest part of Autumnal was Morgoth made a big egg that she hatched out of. So anyway, right, I need to get away from this start. But that wicked, like the weirdness with
Why
Ariana and that Cynthia woman really captured my imagination for all
oh,
the memes it
why
made.
did you think that Gollum was covered in green slime?
She's like,
Child of
oh yeah, what if?
yeah.
Oh, well, no, well, yeah, just like is it like an amoeba that just splits itself in half
Yeah.
like that? Yeah. Anyway, one black, one white, yin and yang. So anyway, the 15th of January, Aragorn becomes the leader of the Fellowship, and they make for Lothlorien, where Aragorn gets a proper glow up and becomes a glamorous elf bitch. And they're then greeted by Galadriel and Celeborn on the 17th of January. And then it's alluded to in the books, it's really interesting. They're in Lothlorien for a month. They don't leave until the 16th of February. And when they leave, Aragorn is given the Elf Stone, LSR, which he takes as a name later. So we're now in the year 1319. We're very close to the end. And what I didn't realise till doing this episode is just how quickly everything happens. But because you're covering so many different events from so many different viewpoints, it seems like a lot longer.
Hmm.
So the 16th of February, when they leave Lothlorien, there is 1 month and 9 days left until Sauron is defeated. So
So
they
many significant things happened at
Oh,
that
yeah, yeah.
time.
So they set off down the River Anduin, right? And Aragorn's conflicted for this whole journey because his original plan was to go to Minas Tirith. But now he feels bound as a leader to Frodo and the Ring. He needs to go where the Ring Bearer goes. But the decision is made for him when the Uruk-hai attack on the 26th of February and the company splits. Aragorn, in good conscience, can't abandon Merry and Pippin after Boromir told him, as he died, that they have gone. Because Sam and Frodo have went off to continue the journey themselves, and he knows this. He can see where they've gone. So him, Gimli, and Legolas make the decision to go and rescue Merry and Pippin. So that's the parting of the Fellowship. And Boromir dies, as I mentioned, and they have a touching goodbye that remains a
I
tearjerker in the
didn't know
film.
that.
Shut up.
Ruined it
It's
for
like, "I
me.
would have followed you, my brother, my captain, my king," which also perfectly fits the Catholic rite of, last rites. It's, that whole conversation with Boromir and Aragorn, it all perfectly fits. There's a lot of stuff with Aragorn and Frodo and Gandalf as various representations of, like, Jesus,
Mm,
and one of them is, like, Jesus as the priest, and in the Catholic dogma, that death scene between Aragorn and Boromir perfectly fits the last rites confession, the deathbed confession. And,
mhm.
yeah, because he gets Boromir gets absolution, and because he shows like, he repents and he's granted absolution. And we'll also see later on, there's more Christ-like qualities about Aragorn, which is very interesting. But this is so we've covered, like I said, there's not much time until the end now. And this is where the events of the book become pretty intense. It's like day after day, like bam, 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 major shit is happening. And even just with Aragorn, Legolas, and Gimli, like their journey now, it's something is happening like almost to the hour.
Mm.
And I never realized this when I was reading it, because you just get lost in the story and you don't know until you look back at the dates. You're just like, whoa. So after Boromir dies, Aragorn, Gimli, and Legolas run a crazy distance of 135 miles in a short time of 3 days. They rest during this and they stop, sleep, get up, run. And someone has worked, like a few people work this out, like the rate that they were running at. So Karen Wynne Fonstad, do you know my Atlas of Middle Earth book I've got?
Mm.
She wrote that, right? She estimates that they were traveling at about 3 miles an hour. And that's 5K every hour in full gear with very little rest. Like that is fucking hardcore. Like, and then you've got to factor in time. So like even just like bending down to like get a stone out your shoe and stuff like stuff like that. And then you've got going over like rough terrain, going over the rocks because it's not smooth.
Having a slurp.
Like so, for example, I'm a big fat bastard, right? I went out for a run today and I did 5K and it took me about 40 minutes. And part of that was a mile uphill. Jokes, I went up to the turbine,
Mm.
and that's a mile going uphill. So they were doing stuff like that.
With littler legs as
Well,
well,
they
some of them.
with heavier gear on, like full gear, and they were doing that for 3 days straight. I was like, I wasn't like exhausted by the time I got back, but I was puffed out of breath, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna have a bath. Like, but they did that full on, full gear, carrying weapons, and you felt how heavy Anduril is.
Mm.
For 3 days, crazy. So I just want to impress how impressive that is. So yeah, it definitely earns the title Wingfoot. That's pretty fucking hardcore. So they ran and they meet Éomer when they get to Rohan on the 30th of February and they travel to the edge of Fangorn. On the 1st of March, they meet Gandalf the White and set out for Meduseld. They arrive the next day on the 2nd, and then the day after, they're besieged at Helm's Deep. That's how quick that happens. Like they go from Gandalf, meeting Gandalf the White, to 2 days later, you think you're about to die at fucking Helm's Deep. And then they don't sleep at all because they're fighting all through the night. On the 4th, Aragorn rides out at dawn. Aragorn rides out with Theoden, and Gandalf arrives bringing reinforcements, which includes a whole fucking forest. Then the day after, on the 5th, they're at Isengard. They meet Merry and Pippin. Aragorn takes possession of the Palantir at Orthanc. On the 6th, he then reveals himself to Sauron. Can't stop getting his cock out.
Is that the orb thing?
Yeah, that's the Palantir, yeah. On the 6th, he reveals himself to Sauron after he meets up with the Dunedain and Elrond's sons. On the 7th, they arrive at Dunharrow. Do you know that massive base up on the cliff?
Mm.
The Rohirrim army are there. And the next day, the 8th, he takes the paths of the dead and at midnight summons the Oathbreakers at the Stone of Erech. And this is Aragorn calling on the Ghost Army who betrayed Isildur, leveraging his bloodline. And I just want to point out here that all through this podcast, it's been a common theme of just how serious the oaths are in Middle Earth.
Yeah.
So the oath that they swore on was at the Stone of Erech, so he goes back there and commands them again. and they're cursed because they are oath breakers. Like that's one of the if you swear on the name of Eru, then you better fucking keep your oath. So the next few days, like again, it's just every day was like he crossed this river, he went to this place. So it's Aragorn going from place to place, getting closer towards Minas Tirith with his ghost army. They capture Pelagia on the 13th of March and take the Corsairs fleet off them. And see our episode on the Corsairs of Umbar for more info on like those type of people. They sail towards Minas Tirith, and on the 15th, they arrive at the Battle of Pelennor Fields. After which he heals Faramir, Eowyn, and Merry when they are suffering the blackness from the black, the Nazgul. It's like basically super turbo depression cancer. Is I think that's how Tolkien described it.
I'm sure he did.
So what you then see with Aragorn when he gets to Minas Tirith is he doesn't. After all this, it turns out he's a load of talk. He doesn't reveal himself like he planned to. He slips into the city incognito and heals people. And this fulfills that prophecy that the hands of the king are the hands of the healer, and so shall the rightful king be known. Aragorn then works late into the night as the people of Minas Tirith come to him and ask him to heal people. I'm sure there was a couple of lepers in there as well. Sound familiar? But he says he doesn't want to come to Minas Tirith officially until it is time for him to claim his throne, and he wants to come and triumph, right? So he slips away in the wee hours of the morning to the camp he has outside of the city, and that's where they start their council for what they need to do. It's the end game now, right? So he makes his council with Gandalf, Éomer, Imrahil, the Prince of Dol Amroth, which is one of the nobles, and Elrond's sons. And it's at this council that we set up the last battle, which is the Morannon, right? This is where they draw all the forces of Mordor out of the Black Gates to give Frodo a chance. They set out on the 18th of March. All of this has happened so quickly. This is the 18th of March that they march from Minas Tirith to Mordor. But, and this is criminal that this wasn't shown in the films. I understand why, but
That's when the toothy one comes out.
that's at the Black Gate, yeah. That's at the Black Gate, yeah. But on the 23rd of March, Aragorn does one of the most kingly acts ever. He shows an incredible amount of mercy, right? Because soldiers are frightened. They are sad. They are just, some of them are so fucking scared. So what he does is he gently and nobly tells the people that he tells his soldiers, instead of ordering them into a battle that they're terrified of, he says that anyone who is too scared or doesn't want to do this, he asks that they go and retake the island of Caer Andros instead. Like he says that nobody will judge you, nobody will think any less of you. Here's how you can still be useful. If your heart isn't in this properly, because we're going to people of Gondor, it's pretty much going to the gates of hell itself, right?
Mm.
And you forget like the last king of Gondor disappeared outside of the front of these gates. So he's telling them that you can still be useful, but and here's how you can. But nobody's going to judge you. Nobody's going to think any less of you. And some soldiers, after they hear him say this, either are moved to courage or their like shame at the weakness gives them the courage for them to. So a lot of them stay,
Mm.
but some of them do go and they do retake the island of Caer Andros, which the name means ship of long form in Sindarin, and it's an island to help cross the river.
Ship of long form.
Yeah, because the shape of the island is like a ship.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's a great heart and wisdom and understanding. He's finding them a way to still contribute, and like everyone gets what they want. Like there's a middle ground somewhere,
Mm.
and I just think that's amazing. It's a testament and acknowledgement of how terrifying the situation is for these soldiers, and I love that. So 2 days later, it's the last day of the third age, depending on who you are. It's the Battle of the Morannon, and the ring is destroyed. It's a great victory. But we're not done yet, because there's still a lot of cleanup. In fact, there's like 120 years left for us to go over. So Aragorn is crowned King of Gondor before the gates of Minas Tirith on the 1st of May by Gandalf. And technically the King of Arnor as well. And depending on who you are, this is when the Fourth Age begins, but some people count it differently. Some people count it from the 25th of March. Some people might argue it's when Aragorn is crowned. Some people argue it begins 2 years later in 3021 when the last ring bearer, when Frodo crosses the sea. But regardless, it's now the start of the reign of King Elessar,
Hmm.
which is Aragorn. On the 25th of June of 3019, Aragorn finds a new sapling of the White Tree. It's now going to bloom. It's not going to stand dead. Perfect. On Midsummer's Eve of that year, Elrond gives him the scepter of Anúminas, which signifies the kingship of Arnor. The next day, Aragorn and Arwen are wed, and feasts and parties and all that kind of good shit. And then we have the last concrete date that we get before we just start moving into years. On the 22nd of August, King Elessar says goodbye to his friends as they set out for home, and they leave Gondor to go back to the Shire and like Rohan and, all these different places. And that is the last we have of concrete dates, but we still have things that Aragorn has done in the world. So in a few years later, in year 6 of the Fourth Age, Aragorn makes the Shire a free land and forbids humans from entering it. And he obeys his own law, and he always waits just outside of the Brandywine Bridge for the hobbits to meet with him. So whenever he visits, no, he never enters the Shire. The Shire is just for the hobbits. In the year 13 of the Fourth Age, he makes 3 officers. The Thane of the Shire, the Master of Buckland, and the Mayor of Mickle Delving. He makes these 3 officers councillors of the North Kingdom. So they become officially it's the Shire entering into the big world politics.
Hmm.
Then in the year 15, Aragorn and Arwen come north to live at Anúminas for a bit, the northern capital. They meet Pippin, Merry, and Sam at the Brandywine Bridge. Of the year 31, so 16 years later, Aragorn expands the Shire by adding the West March to it. So their lands have got a lot bigger now.
Hmm.
And then we have a big jump to the year 120 of the Fourth Age. 89 years later, Aragorn dies on the 1st of March and he's succeeded by his son Eldarion. And we'll end the story of Aragorn with the end of this tale as written by Tolkien. And it highlights just how good J.R.R. Tolkien was at writing love and how it can be so bittersweet that a goodbye is still a goodbye. And that Arwen knew this was coming and Aragorn knew this was coming, but the ending is still hard regardless.
Hmm.
As Queen of Elves and Men, she dwelt with Aragorn for 60 years in great glory and bliss. Yet at last he felt the approach of old age, and knew that the span of his life days were drawing to an end, long though it had been. Then Aragorn said to Arwen, "At last, Lady Even Star, fairest in this world and most beloved, my world is fading. Lo, we have gathered and we have spent, and now the time of payment draws near." Arwen knew well what he intended, and long had foreseen it. None the less she was overcome by her grief. "Would you then, Lord, before your time, leave your people that live by your word?" she said. "Not before my time," he answered. "For if I will not go now, then I must soon go perforce. And Eldarion, our son, is a man full right for kingship." Then going to the house of kings in the silent street, Aragorn laid him down on the long bed that had been prepared for him. There he said farewell to Eldarion, and gave into his hands the winged crown of Gondor and the scepter of Arnor. And then all left him save Arwen, and she stood alone by his bed. And for all her wisdom and lineage, she could not forbear to plead with him to stay yet for a while. She was not yet weary of her days, and thus she tasted the bitterness of the mortality that she had taken on her. Lady Undomiel, said Aragorn, the hour is indeed hard, yet it is made even in that day when we met under the white birches in the garden of Elrond, where none now walk, and on the hill of Cerin Amroth, where we forsook both the shadow and the twilight, this doom we accepted. Take counsel with yourself, beloved, and ask whether you would indeed have me wait until I wither and fall from my high seat unmanned and witless. Nay, lady, I am the last of the Númenóreans, and the latest king of the elder days, and to me have been given not only a span thrice that of men on Middle-earth, but also the grace to go at my will and give back the gift. Now, therefore, I will sleep. I speak no comfort to you, for there is no comfort for such pain within the circles of the world. The uttermost choice is before you, to repent and go to their havens and bear away into the west the memory of our days together, that shall there be evergreen, but never more than memory, or else to abide the doom of men. Nay, dear lord, she said, that choice is long over. There is now no ship that would bear me hence, and I must indeed abide the doom of men. Whether I will or I nill, the loss and the silence. But I say to you, King of the Númenóreans, not till now have I understood the tale of your people and their fall. As wicked fools I scorned them, but I pity them at last. For if this is indeed, as the Eldar say, the gift of the one to men, it is bitter to receive. So it seems, he said, but let us not be overthrown at the final test. Who of old renounced the shadow and the ring? In sorrow we must go, but not in despair. Behold, we are not bound forever in the circles of the world, and beyond them is more than memory. Farewell. Estelle, Estelle, she cried, and with that, even as he took her hand and kissed it, he fell into sleep. Then a great beauty was revealed in him, so that all who came after there looked upon him in wonder, for they saw that the grace of his youth, and the valour of his manhood, and the wisdom and majesty of his age were blended together. And long there he lay, an image of the splendour of kings of men, in glory undimmed before the breaking of the world.
Nice.
Absolutely beautiful. And he says, yes, it has to be sad, but there's no regrets. Like, yes, it is sad, but it has to happen.
Yeah, they've known this all along.
Yeah. And it's interesting that for all her age and how old she is, that Arwen's the one who needs to be comforted at the end. Like, it's Aragorn's wisdom that needs to win out,
Mm,
which is really interesting because he's the one comforting her. I don't know, I suppose that might be a comment on, like, love's a bit of an equalizer, isn't it? That it doesn't matter who you are, that, sometimes you need to be comforted by your partner.
yeah. Possible.
Oh, well, that's the story of Aragorn. That's his life.
Nice.
That's his death.
Nice.
That's his things he did in between his
Mm.
birth and his life and his death.
He's been a busy guy.
He is, and it's he's perfect character.
Thought you were gonna say he's a pervert.
He's not, no. Thank God there was no historical accusations about Aragorn.
Not yet. That's
No.
why, they're
I'll
called historical.
yeah, well, I'll resist doing it because I have a whole bit during my stand-up act about, like, Aragorn and Gandalf being outed as pedos, but I won't do that here. I won't ruin the episode. Yeah, that's Aragorn. That's the end of his time, and it's just amazing. Yeah, we've got one more episode planned where we'll cover off the Scepter of Illuminas and its history and all of his gear. So stick around for that one. But if we don't speak to you before then, I hope you all have a lovely Christmas and a good New Year. Although the next episode will be out before the end of the year.
Happy
No,
holidays.
no, Merry Christmas. No, we don't say Happy Holidays.
Why not?
There's no other holidays in December.
It's a holiday Inn. Happy
I've never
holidays.
seen Holiday Inn.
Yes, you have.
Never. It's just.
You're a liar.
Do you mean
You
Do you mean Christmas
White
Hotel?
Christmas. Holiday Inn.
Oh, is that black and white film? Yeah, I
Yes,
like
you
that.
have seen
That's
it.
nice. That, yeah, that's good. That Is that where they meet on that ship?
No, on a train. They go on a train. They meet at a dance.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And she's like, yeah, it's on a ship. And
It's not on a ship.
oh wait, no, I'm thinking of something else. I'm thinking of it doesn't matter. Anyway, right. That is it from us. So yes, I hope you are having a wonderful time wherever you are. Let me know if you enjoy the episode. Let me know if you don't. Either way, well, no, I don't really care if you don't enjoy the episode. If you haven't enjoyed the episode and you're still listening to me ramble at the end, then that's on you, bro. Like, that's for you to deal with, not me. Right. Anyway, I'm
Might
gonna.
have gone to sleep.
Oh, they might have. They might have.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ooh, don't piss the bed. Piss the bed. Piss. Piss. Go on. Piss the bed. Right. Okay. I think we're gonna end that there. So that's a bye from me, Chris.
Bye from Rebecca.
Bye.
Bye.